that report agreed? We're going on to the topical issue now. There was a topical issue taken and voted on the last time, and I think we stopped at the Social Democrats. It was.
So, Councillor Gannon, we're going to open it up. You have 2 minutes. It's going to kick on then to someone from People Before Profit to speak, and then if we have to open a list, we'll open a list. You might remember, councillors, we had the Liffey Cycle Route as a topical issue the last time, and it rolls over. I could see some people looking perplexed. Councillor Gary Gannon.
Thank you, Di. Look, I think the opportunity to speak on the Liffey Cycle Route is really important, because there's an indisputable fact that when it comes to the city and how people engage in a friendly and sustainable way, i.e. cycling or indeed walking in the city centre, is unsafe. Unsafe for a variety of reasons. The EPA have consistently highlighted the fact that nitrogen dioxide levels in the city centre regularly breach EU limits. When we talk about the idea of how the climate crisis is impacting on the communities which are most vulnerable, the inner city community is quite literally being poisoned by the level of congestion in this city. And when we talk about the fact that actually as people try to cycle into our city centre, it's unsafe. It's unsafe because of the level of cars, the level of congestion, the lack of cycling infrastructure. And it's unsafe because of the City Council and their lack of urgency in building the appropriate infrastructure needed to confront this problem, this dangerous situation that is faced with anybody trying to cycle into our city. So what I'm asking the City Council for today is urgency. Urgency in terms of building much needed infrastructure. That we're not asking for much here, we're asking for a cycle infrastructure down one of our main arteries into the city. If we can get this right, if we can trial it, if we can halt the delays that seem to be never ending, then we can change the very culture of engaging in our city in a friendly and sustainable way. So tonight I'm asking the City Council to simply trial the Liffey Cycle Route. We've had too many excuses, it's gone on too long, the delays that seem to be never ending. All we're asking for is for it to be trialled. Change the culture of how citizens of Dublin can engage with this city. Make cycling friendly. Make it safe, and just build the infrastructure that we needed. Thank you.
Good, Councillor Gannon. Just before I call in Councillor McVeigh now, just to let people know there's 11 minutes left in this debate. Councillor McVeigh will get 2 minutes, and we'll go along the list until the debate concludes.
Thanks, Chair. Well, I won't take too long, other than to say I'm 100% obviously behind the immediate implementation. I'd like to hear in detail from the manager as to why we're getting more delays, and a discussion around how we can actually look for solutions to those delays so we can implement this as a matter of urgency. I was knocked down on the Quays and also on O'Connell Street last December, both twice on the same day, and that's only one incident on like several times that I've had injuries and accidents on my bike, and I keep getting back on, but it's kind of getting to the stage now where people are starting to question as to whether or not they can cycle in this city, and all the points that Councillor Gannon made in relation to cycling, the environment, physical health, mental health, easing congestion. I mean, it's absolutely no-brainer. And just to finish on a point, I remember going back a good number of years when I met with the Dublin City Cycling Campaign when I first joined this council in 2014, and they had a list of what they termed easy wins in relation to cycling, and I took on board a couple of those in my area in the southwest inner city, and they were mostly in relation to contra-flow cycle lanes. And between the jigs and the reels, we could not get a couple of contra-flow cycle lanes installed in the southwest inner city, which, to my mind, like, it just didn't make any sense. It boggled the mind. So, you know, to take on a project like the Liffey Cycle Route, if we can't get contra lanes put into place, might seem like a tall order, but I think we have to aim high and we have to implement this as a matter of urgency.
Thank you, Councillor McVeigh. Councillor Mannix-Flynn, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much for the topical issue. I mean, don't forget that under Kieran Cuff from the Green Party, we were 9 times up and down the Liffey in relation to this particular issue and in relation to this particular site. 9 times we were up and down there. And everybody wants to see safe cycling in this city, and we need to take the hostility out of it. The best way to do it is to ban cars. It's that simple. The proposed plan at the moment from the NTA simply is not workable. To simply shove people onto a boardwalk in the Liffey will kill the Liffey itself. To simply take out footpaths and trees is not a way to go forward, because you won't get the result, etc, etc. Let it be said that the Cycling Forum individuals refused point blank to get off their bikes and walk across a number of bridge when there was a very viable, good option there. They refused point blank because what they want to do is create a cycling kind of, like, you know, racing track. The NTA are the ones who are in control of this situation. But no matter what you do in here, you're still going to be faced with the issue of cars within the city centre and congestion within the city centre, Chairman, and also hostility within the city centre. I'm all on for good green cycling facilities. This plan by the NTA is absolutely wrong and will be resisted.
Councillor Kieran Perry.
Thank you. As a cyclist, I use this route every day going to and from work, so I support the trial. But the purpose of my contribution really is to discuss or to comment on the topical issue process. This council does its business through both policy and through by way of motions. The topical issue, while it may provide an opportunity for grandstanding and making verbose comment on various topics, it doesn't really have any practical effect on this council. I don't approve of the topical issue as a process. I believe it was brought in to try and stop some of the more what we call radical motions being put to council. So I'd just like to highlight, particularly to the newer councillors, that while people may feel passionately about a particular subject, pontificating under the topical issue won't really achieve anything. What needs to be done is policy change, and policy change by way of motion if need be.
Thank you, Councillor Perry. Councillor Donna Cooney.
Thank you, and I suppose I'd like to declare, as a bicycle mayor and as an avid cyclist and cycle advocate, I'm very much supportive of the Liffey Cycle Route, but I do think that we need to look at a trial now, because like we saw, I suppose, during Velo City, the trials have been done all around Europe and the world, and it's often something that allays people's fears about a particular cycle route. That, you know, in fact, you show that businesses are often thriving much better when you bring in cyclists and then you have cleaner air and less cars on the Liffey side. So I would like to see that we would find the funding to put in a trial. There's over 4,000 signatures. We had a Liffey cycle protest. You know, they had been stopped because we thought this was going ahead, but there was another one the Sunday before last. There was a big turnout at it from all ages of people, including somebody from the media over there, and I just
thank you, Councillor Cooney.
But just to say that I
no,
do
Councillor
think
Cooney, I've been strict with everybody on 1 minute,
trial
please.
Cycling route, and
Councillor Maria Sherlock.
Since 2011, we've been waiting, and the children on that.
Councillor Maria Sherlock, I've strict with everybody. Councillor Cooney.
Thanks, László Vera. Look, you know, the frustration at the long delay that we've had with regards to the Liffey cycle, which has been well articulated here. But I suppose I just wanted to raise a point that, like, there was a number of us who submitted questions on this particular issue last month, and we were told two things. Firstly, that they were going to, that the council will go to tender, or will hope to appoint the engineering services in Q2 of this year, and also in Q2 that we'll have a feasibility report on the Liffey cycle, on a trial of the Liffey cycle route. And to be frank about it, that is too far away. Like I said, if we're going to be waiting until the middle of this year to have a feasibility study on the cycle route, we'll be waiting until the end of next year, or this year or next year, before we'll see any progress on this. And I think the critical point as well is that this was going to be subject to resources. So I think we all need to think about how we actually focus the resources now on trialling the route, obtain the learnings from that route, and then proceed to I suppose that wider survey that needs to be undertaken with regards to environmental and other factors. The last thing I want to say is that Councillor Perry made a very important point there with regards to the procedure in terms of this topical motion, and I suppose those of us who are supporting and are passionately supporting the trialling of the Liffey cycle route have to really look at all our motions and how we actually expedite this through the council. So certainly I would be willing to work with others in terms of trying to expedite.
Thank you, Councillor Sherlock. Councillor Nisha Murray.
Oh, I'm entirely unclear as to where Councillor Flynn stands on this. He seems to be in favour of a project, but just not this one. Just from my perspective, this council put a huge amount of effort into this in the last council, and we got a decision before the council finished up. And I think we need to get on with it now and deliver it. In Fine Gael, we're fully supportive of this Ard Vera. I think it's a key project for the council for this term. This has to get done. And we have to get, I'm fully supportive as well of a trial. The more attention this project can get and the more trialling and coverage and support it can get, the better. I cycled from the IFSC to this meeting, and that road is chronic. It's a disaster. The sooner the better. Gormagat.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. And can I add to my comments? I have to say, cycling is the lowest. Sorry, Councillor Gagan. Apologies, Councillor Gagan. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'd just like to echo Councillor Murray's statement there and everyone else's statements, really. You know, it is really essential that this trial proceed. And look, to the extent that resources are an issue for any of these segregated cycle lanes, let's divert resources from whitewater rafting or whatever the thing that we don't want, but what the people want and will get a lot more value out of, which is segregated cycling. Everyone around, from every single party here, is screaming from the rooftops for more segregated cycle lanes right across this city, of every party. And every question we ask of every segregated cycle lane in our own localities, we're told Q2, Q4, 2020, difficulties with the NTA. This is something that the people want, and we're representing the people. So please, can we just get on with it, and let's deliver over the next 2 to 3 or 4 years. When we go back to those of us who are running for local authorities, can go back to the people and say we've actually delivered exactly what you want: segregated cycle lanes for families. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Gagan. I'm going to just say I agree with everything that's been said. I think in the battle for climate change, supporting cycling and segregated cycling routes has to be the lowest hanging fruit in terms of hanging it. If that's something we can't get across the line, we're going to have much bigger challenges as we go. And as members know, there's an event on the 17th of September which the Lord Mayor will host, calling Making Dublin Climate Brave. And I encourage all of you to attend when you can, because there will be people out there that aren't responsible on this issue that may come along and make more populist responses. And all they're going to do is replace those people who are making responsible decisions here. And as part of democracy, we have to inform the public that there are difficult choices ahead. But I tell you, segregated cycling routes is not one of them. It's something we should be 100% behind. Manager. Brendan.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. Just to, I suppose, put it into some sort of context, over the last 3 years, our budget for cycling and for these type of projects has gone from 7 million to this year we're anticipating having 27 million. So what we've been doing is a lot of the design work, a lot of the preparation, a lot of the consultation, environmental, architectural, archaeology, etc., on this particular route. And I suppose where we are is that we are opening a number of segregated cycle routes. We'll be completing the phase 2 of the Royal Canal. Will be open in May. So what we've seen is a much welcome boost in funding to us. It does mean we've got a lot of different projects on. It does mean resource an issue. Just coming specifically to the Liffey Cycle Route, we did come up with a proposal which was accepted, which was to take the areas of the quays where we have the specific problems, and we have to go back to a simple thing. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. The actual width at certain sections of the Liffey Cycle Route forces us to make a difficult choice. So, trialling a Liffey Cycle Route, we can trial a Liffey Cycle Route this summer from end to end, as long as the members here agree to ban cars off the quays. Now, that sounds like a difficult choice, but when you consider that at various different sections, if you consider the South Quays at the Halfpenny Bridge, we have 2 lanes. Just 2 lanes. We have to keep public transport running because the public transport, the bus service, is the one that makes, brings the largest number of commuters into the city. So the other lane is the space. We either take it for the cycle track or we take it for cars. It is a simple choice. So the version of the project that we're working on is to do with boardwalks, is to do with being able to make some space there without banning a particular type of vehicle. But as I say, what we can do is we will bring back to the next council meeting a list of what we can do, what is difficult to do, and what would require agreement to ban cars from sections of the Liffey for a period of time. So The easiest way we can do a Liffey Cycle Route is to ban cars off certain sections, but that causes a lot of different problems to do with deliveries, to do with access, etc., etc. But we commit to bringing back to the March meeting proposals for where we can trial the Liffey Cycle Route quite easily, where there's some compromises, so it won't be as wide as we'd like. We might have to squeeze some other space. And then there's areas which are the kind of red areas where we have a specific problem. Part of the reason that the Liffey Cycle Route is so complex is that we need to put boardwalks onto the quay walls. At the moment, we're assessing the quay walls, we're assessing the archaeological, architectural, environmental, all these aspects before we can interfere, if you like, with structures as old as the quay walls. So there is a huge amount of internal consultation, there's a huge amount of permissions that have to be got before we can start. We are fully committed to this project, but as I say, we will come back for the next meeting and show what can be achieved.
But you won't get rid of one car, one bus, or
Councillor
one
Flynn,
truck.
you weren't called on.
You know what I mean? You won't
You
get
weren't
rid of...
called on. Councillor Gannon, I would prefer not to open it up any further.
In terms of a suggestion, perhaps, could that be added as a special item to the meeting on the 26th or 27th, so we can detail, like, it seems like a really important...
Councillor Gannon,
24, does it?
you can call a special meeting if you wish.
Well, can we just agree that
you know how that's done.
Yeah, no, but we just agree now.
It's not open to be added to the agenda without that being done, so unfortunately you'd have to go through that mechanism.
Okay.
Okay? Emergency motions, Deirdre. Sorry, Tina.
Thanks, Paul, for letting me in. Just, Manager, just wanted to confirm that the amount of money you said that the increase in 7 million to 27 million, is that specifically for cycling infrastructure?
It's for all the funding under the Sustainable Transport grants from the NTA. So the vast majority of that is cycling, provision of cycling or provision of pedestrian facilities and so on, but it's all on the Sustainable Transportation budget. So that's what we anticipate it'll be. It'll come out shortly, but that's what we anticipate it would be.
Lord Mayor, just can I have a point of information on that? The 20% from the roads budget in the budget that just passed, is that being included in it as well? So it's the road maintenance budget, the 20% of it will be allocated towards cycling?
No, that's a separate amount.
Could we get an idea on the figures on that as well?
Yeah, we can get figures on that, but effectively that 20% is the overall road maintenance budget is to be spent on footways and cycleways. But we can give you the figure on that.
Deirdre.
We have